Has rebuilding the vent windows on your Tri-5 Chevy gotten you down? Particularly the seals. After 70 years, those rubber seals on that vent window are like concrete. So how do you get the things out to put your new ones in? We'll talk about that next here in the Shadetree Garage. All right, guys, today we're talking about vent windows in Tri-5s, particularly the seal, because there's a lot of rubber in that seal that seals this thing. This is the vent window on my Tri-5, on my 55 wagon, and the glass, of course, is in pretty bad shape. Now, the chrome isn't really good either. I made a mistake of trying to use some paint, some acetone, and clean off some overspray. And I'll give you a close look at that frame. Let's see, get it in the light. See that copper shining through? I damn near scrubbed the chrome off of it. Of course, it was probably a little worn anyway. But this one is still serviceable because when that window cranks closed, the copper color is up against the gasket. So it's not really something that you're going to see. So this one is still serviceable. It's got some more overspray on it, but I'll be damned if I'm going to use Scotch-Brite. Lesson learned, never use Scotch-Brite. Even if you're just gently, and you think you're gently rubbing these vent window frames. But today we're talking about getting the rubber seal from around the inside of that frame. Now, let me show you what I've got here. Mine. You'll recognize this as a Tri-5 vent window frame, minus the vent window. Let's see, you can see the frame has no rubber seal left in it, and it's got some surface rust I'm going to clean up and probably put some paint on. Now the rubber covers all this. You won't see any of this outer frame on this model 210, but just for my own satisfaction, just to limit. There's rust down here, and I just want to get it cleaned up nice. And there, it still has the original inner channel, and there's there's two rivets left that hold it in, and I drilled out. You can probably see I drilled out the two rivets here to get this frame to separate enough to get the window out, or the vent window out. All right, but there's no rubber left in here, and I got to tell you, it's not an easy process to get it out after 70 years. I shot video of all this process yesterday, but my new wireless mic, one of my wireless mics in the set of two that I got, didn't work. And so all you see is me moving my lips, and unless you're a lip reader, you won't understand the thing I'm saying. Now, I started on this with a Dremel. I thought, well, and understanding how hard, this was rock hard. This rubber was just gone, rock hard. So I used a Dremel and cut. Well, about all that did was fill the air full of black rubber dust. And it filled the air, and it filled my hair, my beard, my face, my clothes. It was awful. Bad idea. Don't try to use a Dremel, or unless it's some sort of coarse bit, to try to grind this stuff out. In fact, I wouldn't try to use any sort of grinding tool. Now, originally, I had a pair of diagonal cutters, and I thought, well, I can trim this stuff off. Well, I broke off little bitty pieces, so that was it. Now, here's what worked, and this is the trick to get the old hardened seals out of your vent window. The handy dandy heat gun. Now, you can buy these cheap online, and believe me, this is the cheapest one I could find on Amazon. And it doesn't have to be, Craftsman or Snap-on. All it has to do is generate heat. So what you have to do is to direct the heat gun at the gasket, a section of it. Do a section at a time, and magically, this rock hard rubber will soften. My guide I used to determine when it was hot enough was when I started seeing smoke coming off the rubber. Then it's hot enough, you know. And it worked great. I took a razor knife, utility knife, and went down each side of the rubber, and it. And then after that, now it was hard to still get it out of that channel, but it was soft, and you could cut it, you could put a screwdriver in under it, pop it out. But this made it so much easier to. It was really the only way to do it. Now I will tell you a mistake I made. After I got the gasket soft and pliable, I took a razor knife and shaved the top of it off. So I shaved it off even with this frame. Well, that probably wasn't the best thing to do because then I had to go in beside it, the rubber, heat it again and go in beside the rubber and try to pry it out. It worked, but I think if I had to do it again, I would just leave it in place and then get it hot and then just pull it out in one fell swoop. But the heat gun is the trick. Now, my original idea was to use a propane torch. And I thought, well, if worse comes to worse, I'll just set it on fire and burn it out. But I really didn't want to do that to the metal. And I thought, well, how can I do this, heat the rubber, and stop short of burning it? Well, that's when the heat gun came in. So that is the trick to use to get this stuff off quickly. Now, I've heard people say that getting the new rubber in these channels is also a sort of as a trick. But it can be done. Lots of people do it. It's just like anything. It takes some time. So I'm tickled to death to have this done because this kind of stumped me for a couple of days trying to get this channel out. And what's the easiest way to do it besides digging it out with some sort of rotary grinder? All right. Well, anyway, that's the trick for the day on these things. Right now, I'm going to go and sand the surface rust off this thing, and put some kind of paint on it. Like I said, I've still got this factory inside track that used to have fuzzy material in it. I have to remove it, and now they have one long fuzzy track that will replace the two halves that used to be in here. Anyway, I'm tickled to death to have that done. One of the problems I have, if you're like me, you order parts here, there, everywhere, and you end up with shipping boxes that you've received, and you have to deal with those and then keep track of all the parts you have. So one thing I do is I try to keep boxes and label them. That's one way to do it. And the other way is to keep track of your receipts. Because after I make a purchase online, I print out the receipt. I've got a pretty good idea of all the parts I've ordered, and may not know exactly where they are, but they'll be in one of two different boxes. And then I put them over on the other side of the garage in a cabinet. So at least I have a general idea in the shop where these parts are. All right, we've gone over what I think is one of the easiest ways to get 70-year-old rubber seals off a Tri-5 vent window. Now your mileage may vary, and if your vent window frame and your seals have been updated in the last 20 years, you probably don't have a problem with them. All right, guys, that's the easiest way I've found to get the rubber out of your vent window frames. And if you've struggled with this as I have, and you found a better way to do it or a different way to do it, please feel free to leave me a comment below and tell me what you did. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing, and you'll stay in touch with all the updates. All right, have a great week, and we'll see you next time here in the Shadetree Garage.